Hello, how are you? Have you practiced a lot of self-introduction? Today, we will study reading 1, sentence reading. We will learn how to study vocabulary before sentence reading. How to study vocabulary. Many people think that studying English is to memorize vocabulary. However, if you search the meaning of a word in a dictionary, there are multiple meanings are presented. For example, the word book. There is a common meaning of book. A book is a number of pieces of paper, usually with words printed on them. But there are other meanings. A company's or organization's books are its records of money that has been spent and earned. When you book something such as a hotel room or ticket, you arrange to have it or use it at a particular time. The meaning of a word changes depending on the situation. Therefore, simply memorizing English words is not a good way to study. Training to understand the meaning of words in sentences is the most basic way to study vocabulary. How to understand the meaning of vocabularies. People sometimes think that if they memorize a lot of vocabulary, there will be no problems when speaking, writing, listening, or reading in English. But memorizing words can't solve all problems. English vocabulary should be learned in appropriate situations with nuance and feelings. If you can't guess the situation by looking at the words, it is meaningless to memorize only the words. Learning English is not completed through memorization, but it is completed through experience. It is also achieved through experiences in real situations, not through disconnected experiences. If not, you will not be able to use what you have learned hard in real life. So, don't memorize words blindly. If you shouldn't blindly memorize words, when you find a word you don't know while reading, you need to think about how you're going to figure it out. You can pass without knowing a word. If you can get the full meaning by reading the rest of the section except for the unknown word you found, you can just pass. When you read newspapers or novels in Mongolian, there may be words you don't know, but you can still read it without any problems at all. Same as English. You should be able to read them comfortably without paying attention to words you don't know. We don't read sentences to understand the meaning of words. We read words to understand sentences. If you can get the opinions of the writer by reading, it doesn't matter if you don't know the meaning of a few words in that article. Since 1600, doctors have known that the heart is a very important organ in the body. Yet, for many years, they had no way to study the heart. They could not observe the heart in action because they had no way of looking inside the body while it was alive. Are there any words you don't know while reading this? Do you know the exact meaning of organ, observe, alive? Don't bother with those words. Try to understand the meaning of the whole paragraph. As we studied in Lesson 2 sentence structure, let's read them in a phrase structure. The verbs that are the center of the sentence will be underlined, and the conjunctions that connect the sentences will be bold. Since 1600s, doctors have known that the heart is a very important organ in the body. Yet, for many years, they had no way to study the heart. They could not observe the heart in action because they had no way of looking inside the body while it was alive. For example, the heart is a very important organ in the body. Even if you don't know the word organ in this sentence, there is no problem knowing the meaning of the sentence. The heart is very important to the body. You can guess the meaning in context. The heart is a very important blank in the body. In the sentence blank, there is an unknown word organ. Can you guess what this word means? The heart is the important thing in the body, that is, a part of your body that has a particular purpose or function. This is the meaning of organ. You may not be able to guess it like this. If you try to guess like this and you still can't find out, look in the dictionary. If you search organ in the dictionary, an organ is a large musical instrument with pipes of different lengths through which air is forced. An organ is a part of your body that has a particular purpose or function, for example, your heart or lungs. Voice. A government-related organization. There are several selectable meanings. Then we can find out that the second meaning we found in the dictionary is the meaning of organ in this sentence. Vocabularies must be learned in sentences. Studying to memorize only words separately is less effective because the same word appears in a similar sentence situation. It is a way to remember the target object along with the appearance of the surrounding landscape. Yet, for many years, they had no way to study the heart. Means, but for many years, there was no way to study the heart. They could not observe the heart in action because they had no way of looking inside the body while it was alive. It has 4 verbs and 3 conjunctions, so it consists of 4 sentences. You can interpret them one by one as you studied, and then connect them with grammar. I divided it into 3 sentences for the explanation. They could not observe the heart in action because they had no way of looking inside the body while it was alive. Let's connect the first 2 parts. As in the first method, even if you don't know a few words, it doesn't matter to understand the whole meaning. It would mean they didn't know the heart well because there was no way to see the inside of the body. Using the second method, you can guess words you don't know in context. Those who could not observe the heart were doctors. Therefore, observe can be thought of as to watch or to monitor. Thinking about the third method, because doctors are scientists, it was judged as to monitor rather than to watch. And can you figure out that inaction and alive are expressions with the same meaning? If you can say that you have the ability to understand the context. If you can understand the meaning of a word through context, the need to memorize words blindly will be reduced. Sentence reading. In the basic course, the goal of reading is to read sentences. We have learned pronunciation, sentence structure, and the way to study vocabularies. Now, we start training to read English sentences, because English has to be understood in sentences. This is the point of the basic course. As usual, memorizing words is not a basic training course. This is because the meaning of the same word changes depending on the sentence. English sentences are largely divided into two categories. One is a logical sentence, and the other is an emotional sentence. Logical sentence. In the case of a logical sentence, it must be assumed that there are two conflicting arguments in the text. So, we need to read which two conflicting arguments come from one subject. Then, figure out how the logic of the two conflicting arguments is described. In the case of a logical sentence, A. The subject, B. Two conflicting arguments, C. Identifying logical statements. These are the goals. I will explain the example 1 presented below. First of all, try to find out the 3 points for understanding logical sentences on your own. Let's read them in a phrase structure. In considering love, we must not leave out hate. For in one sense, love and hate are the positive and negative aspects of the same thing, the primary emotional reaction to another individual. This can either be one of attraction, desire, or hostility. In this light, it is easy to understand how love, especially when ardent and blind, can so readily turn into equally uncritical hate. B. The two conflicting arguments in this logical story are love and hate. And A. The subject is the inseparability of love and hate. C. The logic is about the common sense of the conflict between love and hate. It is described to emphasize that love and hate have a new relationship or a complementary relationship. Emotional sentence. I explained that English sentences are largely divided into two. And first of all, I suggested a way to read logical sentences. The other is an emotional sentence. In this case, it is good to think of yourself as a movie director. First, consider the characters and the stage scene and observe the changes in the emotions of the characters, especially the main character. Let's focus on example 2. First of all, try to find out the 3 points for understanding emotional sentences on your own. It is a long story. Now, how did you read it? Did you find A, B, C you should look for in an emotional story? The characters in this emotional story are a mother, Clara, her 4-year-old son, John, and his nanny, the nurse. The stage scene shows the conflict between mother and son. To read these emotional stories properly, like being a movie director, you must be able to understand and enjoy the psychological changes within the characters. Clara tries to discipline her naughty son, who makes the nanny difficult. However, the son does not continue to listen, and eventually the last resort is corporal punishment. John, who was punished for the first time in his life, at last he obeys his mother. In the whole process, the mother feels nervous, worried, sorry, relieved, and so on. How did you figure it out? Is it similar to my opinion? Based on what you have learned so far, read the other sentences. Please practice reading by thinking about interpretation, understanding, and explanation. In addition, I hope you will train reading sentences by raising your level from the ones that suit your skills. Today, we learned how to read a text through how to study words and how to read English sentences. There are worksheets for additional practice attached as a comment. Take time to practice reading, solving questions with friends, and presenting your thoughts. Next time, we will have midterm. Please email me if you have any questions. Thank you for listening. See you next time.